Inside every single company, there's this incredibly powerful, invisible asset, but most of us just let slip through our fingers. It's the collective brain of your entire team. So today, we are going to talk about how you can finally capture that knowledge and put it to work. But let's start with a question for you. Just think about your own workplace for a second. What do you think is the biggest single hidden cost that's just quietly draining your resources every single day? It's probably not what you think. It's not the rent, it's not the coffee machine. It's something way more fundamental.
It's wasted time. Yeah, specifically, it's all the hours your team burns just trying to find the information they need to actually do their jobs. It's this massive, invisible hole in the bucket, and it just gets bigger with every employee, every day. And get this, the scale of this problem is, well, it's staggering. A report from McKinsey found that the average employee spends 1.8 hours a day. That's nearly a full day every week just searching for information. Seriously, just take a second and think about what your team could build, create, or solve with all that time back. And that right there is where knowledge management comes into play. It's the strategy, the game plan for plugging that massive leak and turning all that scattered information into a genuine powerhouse of collective intelligence.
So what is it, really? Well, you can think of knowledge management, or KM for short, as the operating system for your company's brain. It's the formal process for figuring out what your people know, getting it down, organizing it, sharing it around, and, this is the most important part, actually using it to make smarter decisions and innovate faster.
Okay, to really get KM, you've got to understand there are two kinds of knowledge. On one hand, you've got explicit knowledge. That's the easy stuff, right? The reports, the manuals, the data you can point to. It's the know what. But the real gold, the secret sauce, is tacit knowledge. This is the know-how. It's the intuition, the experience, the gut feelings locked inside your people's heads. And the whole game of knowledge management is figuring out how to mine that tacit gold so everyone can benefit from it.
All right, so let's get practical. We're going to walk through a simple 3-part blueprint, and it all begins with step 1. You have to build a strategy. This isn't just some new software you turn on. No, it's a core business initiative, and it needs a rock-solid foundation.
A good strategy basically answers 3 key questions. First, how does this actually help us win? You have to tie every goal directly to what the business is trying to achieve. Second, what's our most valuable knowledge? You need to pinpoint the information that you absolutely cannot afford to lose if a key person walks out the door. And third, and maybe the most important, how do we get the green light? You have to build an airtight business case to convince leadership, because let's be honest, without their support, this whole thing is dead in the water.
And believe me, getting that support can be a real uphill battle. I love this quote from a small business owner because it just perfectly captures that skepticism. Leaders often see this as some fuzzy, nice-to-have thing instead of a core business activity like marketing. And that's exactly why step 1, tying it all to clear bottom-line results, is so absolutely critical.
Okay, so once you have that strategy locked in, you're ready for step 2, designing the system. Now you get to build the actual engine that's going to capture and circulate all of that valuable knowledge we've been talking about.
And here is a super important point, one where a lot of companies go wrong. Technology is only one small piece of this puzzle. You can't just buy some fancy software and call it a day. A real working system is built on 5 pillars. It starts with your people. It thrives on a culture of sharing. It's guided by clear processes and filled with quality content. And it's only then that it's supported by the right technology. See the order there? That's key.
So, how do you actually pull that know-how out of somebody's brain and get it into the system? Well, the engine that powers this whole conversion is a framework called the SCI model. It's a really neat cycle that shows how that tricky tacit knowledge gets turned into explicit knowledge that the whole team can use. And as this diagram shows, it's not a straight line. It's a continuous loop where knowledge is constantly being shared, documented, combined, and then relearned. It flows from person to paper and back again, getting smarter and more refined with every single rotation. Let's walk through the 4 stages with a quick example. So let's imagine you have a star salesperson who just has this knack for calming down angry customers. The cycle starts with socialization. A junior rep shadows them, just listening in on calls, absorbing that skill through pure observation. That's tacit knowledge flowing directly to another person. Next up is externalization. This is the tricky part, making that magic tangible. The senior salesperson sits down and tries to write down their process. Maybe they create a checklist called de-escalation tactics. They're turning that gut feeling into concrete steps that other people can actually follow.
Now things get interesting with combination. The company takes that new de-escalation guide and they combine it with other explicit information, like customer complaint data and product spec sheets. And by mixing it all together, they create something totally new, a complete troubleshooting flowchart for the whole support team.
And finally, the loop closes with internalization. The entire support team now uses that new flowchart. They practice with it on real calls, and after a while, they don't even need the chart anymore. That explicit document has become their own intuitive skill, their new tacit knowledge. And just like that, the cycle is ready to start all over again, but this time from a much stronger base.
And that brings us to a really crucial realization. A knowledge management system is never really done. Which leads us straight to our final step. Step 3, sustain and evolve. You can't just build this thing and walk away. For it to work, it has to become a living, breathing part of how your organization operates every day. Think of it like tending a garden. You have to constantly prune the old, outdated stuff. You have to water it with new ideas by encouraging people to contribute. And you have to make sure it's just part of the daily workflow, not some extra chore people have to do. A fantastic way to do this is to start small with a few pilot projects. Prove the value, get some wins, and then scale it up.
So after all this work, the strategies, the design, the nurturing, what's the actual payoff? Why bother with all this? Let's talk about the incredible results you get when you finally unlock your organization's collective brain. Remember that crazy 1.8 hours a day number from the beginning? Well, a really solid KM system can slash the time employees spend searching for information, leading to an organization-wide productivity boost of as much as 25%. That is real time and real money going right back into doing valuable work. And honestly, it's about so much more than just raw productivity. This is how you build a real, lasting competitive edge. Your teams innovate faster. They stop reinventing the wheel. They make smarter decisions. Your customers can actually feel the difference. And this is huge. When a key employee leaves, their wisdom doesn't just walk out the door with them. So, we end right back where we started. Your organization's collective knowledge is its most powerful, most unique asset. It's the one thing your competition can never, ever copy. So the only question left to ask is, are you treating it that way?